Welcome back to the most professional StarCraft 2 with the Protoss in the red from Germany, Die Mauer, the wall. It's showtime. Up against the Polish Protoss in the blue, we have Spirit in a best of 3 Terran versus Protoss showdown on the new StarCraft 2 balance patch, with a whole host of changes directly affecting this particular matchup, and absolutely no changes to the way I like to beg you for likes, maybe even subscribes. And Jimmy, what are we? Quickly, they're cheesing. 1,479 likes on this video on this cast, and I'll cast another one, and I'll probably do it anyways. I don't know what else I'd do with my life, but thank you for watching. Hopefully you've had a good day so far, and hopefully it's about to get just a little bit better. Spirit clearly engineering bay blocked. Showtime's natural. Showtime takes the outside base, and now Showtime is showing that it's time to slap down a pylon out at the front. And being aggressive is the order of the day because of the removal, partially, of shield battery overcharge. Aggressive because of the removal, not that shield battery overcharge was partially removed. Instead, it's completely removed from the game and replaced with energy recharge, where on a 1-minute cooldown you can spend 50 energy and drop 100 on any of your units or a shield battery. So, whether it's a sentry, an oracle, a phoenix, or the shield battery itself, you can get a little bit more going on. Manages to take out the SCV at the command center, but that means you don't have nearly as much ability to defend early on. So, as always, the best defense is a good offense, and Showtime starting out strong with that. The Cyclone has been reverted, by the way, back to the future. The old version from about 2 years ago from a tech lab costs a lot more, 150, 100. A lot more damage, more range, more speed, more handsome, is not the version that's bugged out and ruining the ladder, but instead just the strong old version. So it's been reverted outright. Still a very good early game option against limited Protoss units. So we will see as time goes on how many of these changes affect the game, and certainly the removal of shield battery overcharge has already. As overall, that means Protoss is weaker to early game pushes and stronger when they have more utility later on. Obviously with things like the High Templar. But good luck getting to a High Templar by the time these early units come across the map. And of course, Storm and all that. So not surprising that Showtime is getting aggressive and trying to keep Spirit at bay, but so far he's been spirited away as the Cyclone is following the Marines across the map. And this could get really awkward as the map is dark and full of Terrans. Showtime has no vision of this at all. Spirit is closer to his base than he is to Spirit's, and Showtime, his units, well, his base is farther outside the main because of the engineering bay block. There's nothing, he's warping in a single stalker, but Showtime has decisions to make right now. He has enough energy for a recall. The shield battery itself is being targeted. Probes pulled off the line. Another Cyclone brought in by the medevac. Meanwhile, all the SCV is gonna die to the stalkers in the main. Hellions get into the main base of Showtime. Both players, the workers under fire here. There's absolutely no labor laws protecting them. This is a David Kim game, all right? So, Spirit manages to take out even more of the pre-blink stalkers. They have no way to escape from those Cyclones. And the medevac, takes a volley of stalker fire. If he ends up losing the medevac, that is devastating. Those 2 Cyclones going down, there's no defense back at home. But both players really struggling economically already. Depp gets into the main. Spirit will re-land as natural. He managed to get a siege tank out as well. Blink is nearly completed. The double Cyclone drop still lurking. An existential threat, but not exactly the danger it once was, and also such an investment. And Showtime, the blink, tries to intercept, but Spirit notices in time. He's certainly going to want to get that out of there. Showtime adding on charge, whereas Spirit is consolidating with some more Marines. I was going to say and Marauders, but we're not there yet. Stim is on the way. Neither player really comfortable with much more in the way of teching up. Having the right unit composition as quickly as possible is far more important than having those kind of ancillary upgrades that don't really affect the outcome of these early fights. The bunker in a good spot, but the siege tank a little far back to support it. Showtime's able to knock out the engineering bay and deny a supply depot. Small victories, I'm sure, watching very carefully at home. That cyclone drop, still sharking around. About 2-3 stalker hits away from oblivion. But the cyclones will be unloaded just in case. Make sure he has it ready. And might be able to snipe off the sentry here on the run. And get a few probes as well. He picks it up. He goes for the second one. A bit optimistic there, but locks onto the stalker. Juggling the cyclones. And so far, actually finding a lot of oh my god, the positioning is so well, he loses the medevac with the cyclone inside. Loses 5 probes. But overall, Showtime cleans it up. Spirit still manages to get a lot of damage done with something that kind of was already past its expiration date. Stim and charge finishing simultaneously. Not that there are any charge lots in this fight. Reactor is taken down, delaying the medevacs. Doubt Spirit will hit the stims anytime soon. More stalkers coming in. Bit of an awkward positioning. Knocks out the observer, which means once these stalkers leave, they won't be able to come back. But again, flips over to another reactor. The siege tank in position, but Showtime backs off. Marines and Marauders brawling it out. Oh, he was in turret range with that observer, unfortunately. And that turret is now served. Oh, the turret was walling off a siege tank. So it served its purpose, and now it dies. Well, salvaging the bunker, getting a little bit of money back. Salvage can now be interrupted by damage, which is mostly affecting bunker rushes. Though sensor towers can be salvaged, so it's a bit of a mixed bag. This bio army moving out, and again, neither player has vision of the opponent's army. And we're going into, they don't know it yet, but we're about to start base trading. And I don't know if there will be time to recall. There's almost nothing at home. Showtime's got to be a little suspicious. A scan that telegraphs it. He's already running the probes, but it's already too late to save many of them. He's actually sprinting down the robotics facility, but the main base as well. The charge lots are warped in, and here we go again. Things escalating each time. The main base being gutted for Spirit. His production and his reinforcements might be enough. A drop actually comes around and knocks out the war prism. Meanwhile, the Nexus just outright taken out. He loses 8 probes alongside, but the tanks are unsieged, and the Stalkers are able to snipe off 1 and a Marauder or 2. More shield batteries on the way. The Immortal is out. Immortal's a little bit cheaper, but have less attack speed. Overall a nerf, but not too much of a change that'll affect the outcome of this battle more than likely. Stalkers brawling out with the bio army, but +1 done for both sides. The Stalkers don't want to take a fair fight against the Stim Marines and Marauders, though they will be healed up by the medevacs. The tanks are moving forward. Supply is still dead even. There's enough Stalkers to potentially grind through. Medevacs, force field's not enough. Only a single shield battery. Does he have energy recharge? He does. Hasn't used it yet. More charge slots warped it on the other side. Energy recharge on the shield battery. In order to give it a little bit more, it doesn't have the speed of energy of shield battery overcharge, but it does give it the ability to heal up a bit more of those shields. But again, the natural smashed by Spirit as well as Showtime. Neither player able to hold on to these bases. Spirit, his buildings are in flight, and now knocking down the door. Showtime Stalkers and charge lots moving in. Medevac evacuates some more of the army supply, and I don't think he's going to be able to clear his main from this. Meanwhile, a force field on the ramp to try to hold the door, but it won't last long, and there are siege tanks down there, so this is but a temporary reprieve. Showtime, double the supply right now, but a lot of that Spirit has 0 SCVs. If he loses his orbitals, he has no ability to rebuild anything, but his buildings can fly. Oh no, that pylon depowers so much! Almost every single gateway. Not that Showtime can even deal with that. The orbital is burning, and it should be able to land in time. The probes are pulled to deal with this. The probe's getting caught up on the siege tank on the high ground. Widowmine's going to work, and, well, I feel like at this point I need to mention, in order to win a game of StarCraft 2, you must kill all your opponent's buildings. Showtime. Oh no. Oh no, Showtime can't win the game anymore. Oh, no. Oh. He has no probes and no nexus. He can only lose. But the orbital is pinned back. Okay. Oh my god. So Showtime no longer can build anything that kills these builds. Well, unless there's no sweet spot. Showtime has not rebuilt his base as being revealed. That orbital is only a few stalker hits away from burning, and there's no way it lands. And now the question is, can Showtime, this is it. There's going to be one gate and one pylon, and that's it. That's everything. If he loses that, he loses the game. There's no way. Spirit will have a building in the corner. In fact, he's going to try to build... I don't think he has enough money for a cloaked banshee, but if he manages to sneak the orbital... There's an observer watching the army, and there's no way to detect it. He needs to land. Okay, we're going to assume that these units will be at full HP. The medevacs are out of energy, so it'll take a while. What is this? This is crazy. It does not damage the orbital, whatever that is. That plasma jet or whatever. Unfortunately, that orbital will not run out of fuel either. So, Showtime cannot win this game. Unless Spirit makes a drastic and elementary mistake. There is no way for Showtime to win the game. Spirit can still win. He must kill... Well, there's a couple pylons still left, but he sees them. He knows. Being revealed. He's going to try to land, but if the orbital starts burning... then it's out. It's... Well, it comes down to whether the army can win. Oh, he's going for the tank. It doesn't get a second volley. That's massive. Oh, and getting that tank was such a huge deal. So now, the armies are so close, too. Oh my, they'll expect one of us in the wreckage, brother. Do you send, like, a zealot to go kill it? The medevacs in the... Are they going to say anything? They both know now. There's no workers at all. He's going to try to get him to split his forces. That orbital taking a bit more damage. He can drop mules from it to repair. But he only has 46 minerals. So even to repair... Oh, he's supply blocked. He wants to build... What is that? A banshee. He doesn't have... Oh, no. If Spirit had 100, well, he could probably win the game. If he had 100 minerals, he could build Cloak and a Banshee. He'd probably just sacrifice one of his medevacs in order to have enough supply. The command center itself is also providing that supply right now. So if neither player is mining and no buildings are destroyed for like 3 minutes... then the game automatically starts a draw timer. Or, in most tournaments, players can agree to it. Which is quite rare, but not entirely so. That observer is a huge deal. It's no longer a question mark. Oh, it's so close. It's like 40% it takes. Oh, it's not quite enough. It's not burning, though it'd be kind of hard to tell in this exact scenario. Another pylon dead. He manages to unload. I think Spirit's gonna go for it. Here's the thing. It's no risk and all reward for Spirit. He can't lose. As long as he has one building in the corner, he can't lose. And if he can take out every stalker, Spirit doesn't know. I mean, Showtime doesn't know this. If he takes out every stalker, then he can build a banshee. Even if he loses the rest of his units, then he can still build that banshee. It's already queued up. And Showtime has not spotted this. I think he just lost the Marauder. So, if he just takes out the 7 Stalkers and a Sentry, doesn't have to kill the charge lot, then the Banshee will build, and there will be no anti-air to stop him. He's using hallucinated phoenixes. I think this army is good enough from Showtime that he wins the straight-up fight against the Bio. Like, even with a great micro on the medevacs, that's just too many charge lots. And Spirit clearly doesn't want to risk getting any units picked off here. He's gonna have one opportunity. So, oh my. Oh, every shot matters. Is it burning? Is it burning? Oh my god, it's still in range. And the stalker! It's burning! Oh, Rome burns! And here comes the rest of the army! Showtime not dealing with it! He's going for the stalkers! It's pretty obvious what he's trying to accomplish. He gets 3 of them. A Banshee is in production. The orbital's burning. He's gonna go, if he get, I don't know how many stalkers no, it's not enough. He didn't get enough. He's gonna try to land the orbital. There's no choice now. There's no more repair. And at this point, oh, the mules drop. No, 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 no. You can't let him mine. Oh, no. He can repair with 1 and build with the others. He's gonna find the starport, but he's not watching for the mules. The thing is, the starport's arguably more important. He's gonna use the Banshee, going for... He's trying to fight here. Blink Stalkers could probably... And he has the Observer still. So the fact that the Stalker... He knocks it out. And now the orbital might be burning. He's building an SCV. And repairing the orbital, but... Showtime might not be able to win. Oh my god, he's building a Widow Mine. A Cyclone, maybe? At this point, he's running away with the SCV, but it's spotted, and the orbital was still burning. He finds the base. And Spirit. In a game uncomfortably reminiscent of Bronze League Heroes. Well, he has to actually get a building to the corner here. He mined enough. Well, here's the thing. He's going to be supply blocked. He's at 1 over 0. That's it. 1 over 0. You can't build anything with 0 supply. 0 supply. There's nothing. You can't do anything. I wonder when he'll come to terms with that. Literally, there's no... You cannot build at it. You have no supply. At all. 0. Yeah, I like how he's getting Magfield Accelerator. Like the upgrade will make the difference here. You know what? Maybe. I don't... Is he just making Showtime sweat here? Alright. It's a draw. So, they just... Once they agree to it, the tournament puts it down as a draw. It doesn't matter who leaves. Honestly, it feels like that was a better case scenario for Showtime. Obviously, a lot happening so quickly. But it easily could have gone sideways. With Terran buildings floating all over the place. Showtime, it wasn't perfect, but it was enough. Not getting a single probe out, getting caught out of position. But at the same time, we see one of the... Sometimes we don't even... We go an entire year without a draw. I'm not counting the silly, like, Rogue versus Beyond weekly tournament games. But in major tournaments, I can't remember the last time I saw a draw. So, welcome back. In the bottom left, the Protoss in the red, D-Mauer. It's Showtime. Up against the Polish Terran player in the blue. We have Spirit. In a best-of-3 Terran versus Protoss showdown on the new StarCraft 2 balance patch, where there are so many changes to the early game, but absolutely no... Wait a sec. Deja vu. Game 1, version 2. We replay it all from the start. They've switched sides, otherwise it would be... Well, that was just random chance, but otherwise it'd be extra confusing. Something, like and subscribe. You get a second chance at it as we restart the series. Wow. And he's got an engineering bay block. Yet again. Will Showtime handle it differently? I think this favors Showtime a bit. Because Showtime is a very defensive player. There's a reason he's nicknamed the Wall. Having more opportunities to see what style his opponent wants to bring, I think favors him in the, at least the midterm. So, in this case, now that he's already seen how Spirit would like to play out the early game, and Spirit is obliging by repeating it, he switches it up. The engineering bay is canceled the moment he sees Showtime expand. Interesting, he went for the triangle base instead of the linear third this time. The engineering bay block. So, now that shield battery overcharge has been removed, I don't know if it's better or worse to do the anti-bay block, because it is a costly investment for the Terran early, but it also splits up the Protoss base. There are two schools of thought. One is just kill it, like build a zealot, delay your expansion, and kill the engineering bay, or force it to cancel. Or, of course, what Showtime has done, which is just expand somewhere else, like a Zerg style of handling it. So, this time around, a Stargate. I don't know what the probes are doing over here. Oh, he doesn't want to send them down because a Reaper, rather, could just snipe him off before the Adept gets here. Oh my. Tripping over my words in this time warp of a game. He's got a Stargate on the way. A complete shift from the Blink Stalkers of last game. Stargate obviously more helpful, able to easily maneuver between the bases, but also way more vulnerable to things like the Cyclone or Widow Mines. So we'll see. This time around, not nearly as committed. There's going to be no Cyclone on the way. Only one Hellion, mostly for scouting. A much more defensive style out of Spirit. And Showtime going to be happy to see that as he opts for a Phoenix on the way. The energy recharge dropped onto the Phoenix, I think, gives it a lot more utility, because then you have 3 lifts on the Phoenix. It's usually just the one to start. We wait for the second one? Interesting. One Phoenix. Oh, he could play it off like it's hallucinated, even. Pretend like he's just taking a look around. Though, if it takes any damage, it becomes pretty obvious it's real. There's 2 Widow Mines in this picture. Just kidding. Or am I? Oh. Sometimes hard to tell. Just ignoring the shield battery. Phoenix is coming back. Hellion in the main base, though. Oh, no. 5 probes dead to just whatever random Terran units are in the game right now. Oh, the Phoenix finally gets a lift off. And yeah, timeout for you. Anyone? Hello? Anyone? And it picks up where it leaves off, and then it gets picked up again. 6 probes dead. Even 1 Hellion. A potentially deadly threat. And now he confirms that indeed these are real-life Phoenixes. They are not halluc. So, the Widow Mine drop a bit optimistic in this scenario. Showtime not taking critical damage, but certainly didn't want to lose 6 probes to like 4 Marines and a Hellion. Especially considering they didn't even get medevaced in. They just walked over. The Phoenixes are in position. He's waiting on the mine drop. I don't know if he's waiting for something to show up on the other side of the map. It's better to hit it a good time than a quick time, because right now, obviously, Showtime is anticipating. Going for a third, thinking about it at least. I'm reasonably sure Spirit will wait until he's moving out with something else or the Phoenixes show themselves on the other side of the map. He doesn't want to risk the mine drop just moving in. Once the Phoenixes show themselves, though, the mine, I'm sure, or the mines, will be gracing the base with their presence. Some other very relevant changes. The Disruptor now has a larger radius again, but does less damage per hit. Only 100. So enough to kill Ghosts and Marines, but not quite enough to kill Marauders. And obviously less against things like tanks. The Phoenixes are spotted. In comes the mine drop. Colossus now has 50 more HP, 50 less shields. So a little more survivable in many fights, but it really depends on how the fights go. Retargets and maximizes damage against the Phoenixes. Manages to pick up one of the mines, though. Takes out of the sky and should be able to knock out the medevac as well. He actually did force a recall off those Phoenixes. So having that recall on cooldown gives Spirit a little more leeway to maneuver around. The shield battery, not... Ooh. That is blocking a lot of the mining. That is unfortunate. Observer spotting all of this. Don't think Spirit noticed. As the Phoenixes pick up and knock down an SCV that is boldly building at the third base. Decided to try to build on location, but probably already regretting it. So, Mech Protoss is the choice. Phoenix Colossus. An old build, but it checks out. Especially considering the limited starport units here. There's no hint of ghosts. Free supply or 2. The Cyclone is helpful, but that's a lot of feet. He's got 7 Phoenixes. Is extended thermal lance done? No, it just started, so still quite a ways off. Spirit hasn't seen the Colossi yet. He's about to. And will he just back off outright, or? It looks like yes. Gonna still stay in position just in case Showtime moves a little too far out, but 2 Colossi is just too many. 1 is manageable, but sentries underneath, Phoenixes overhead. Should be enough to hold. And the Colossi, wow, he's just gonna... Interesting. Thought about picking up that mine, I'm sure. Knocks out the Viking, very helpful. And it's not like there's that many. Oh, he gets the mines. Gotta be careful, though. Cyclone locks on as well. Third Colossus extended thermal lance. Halfway there. Does he see that mine? Yes. Alright. Oof. Never mind that one. They're going to try to back off. Spirit not in position to capitalize. Force fields will try their very best to lock in the Terrans, but they're very slippery creatures, both in their morals and their physicality. Templar Archives and Ghost Academy both in production. Templar probably one of the better units to take advantage of the new energy recharge, but getting to Storm is quite an endeavor in and of itself. So just going straight to Archons is Showtime. Extended thermal lance now completed. Upgrading those red beams. They actually do have a much more red color to them once they upgrade, just in case. Can't tell by the way they are. Knocking out another mine. 3 Colossi. A lot to contend with. How many? Those are the first ghosts in production right now, so they won't be available. Observer in a very obvious location. Not sure if Spirit has a scan for it. Volley of Viking fire, but here come the Phoenixes. And before any ghosts are out, those Phoenixes are still very helpful for zoning out the Vikings. There aren't that many stalkers underneath, and by that I mean there are no stalkers at all, which is not very many. 4 Vikings at a time. The Phoenixes don't trade great with them, but just keeping them away from the Colossi is the most important thing. The Vikings knocking out a lot of the Phoenixes, though. And Showtime tries to kind of shove in, but ends up losing almost every single Phoenix without making a big dent in the army supply. This has been a good aggressive defense of his 4th base. Showtime now has 4 bases up and running. He's got just the 1 robo? He hasn't added any more robotics facilities. Scan spawns. There's no army. Showtime's backed all the way off, so a triple drop loaded up by a Spirit. And that could be very dangerous if Showtime decides to move out again. The Disruptors, while they aren't as deadly, are still quite a threat to especially a Terran army without Liberators. A few Disruptors can easily chunk it up to the point that the rest of the army can finish it off. The medevacs are spotted, a single Phoenix sounding the alarm as there's not nearly enough. Unfortunately, the wall has built a wall and the Zealots are on the wrong side of it, using his own base against him. The rest of the Terran army to the north side, but a couple Colossi in position to defend, but the Viking fleet, a Scandinavia of Vikings, is ready to take it down. Meanwhile, the main base is a haphazard fight. Vikings hit the deck, the army is crushed on the ground, and Spirit is just tearing him apart. Showtime tried to split his forces, but he's divided. And now it looks like he's being conquered. A recall comes through. A Colossus dies before it even finishes teleporting temporarily. And the medevacs are still just running circles around Showtime right now. This fight has gone disastrously. Showtime has lost almost twice the resources. He's lost 22 probes. He's somehow managed to hold on to most of his, all of his bases. But what's left? And the disruptor shot gets a hit. That's enough to hold for now. Spirit has some medevacs pinned back, but back at home, the warp prism did not end up getting anything done. There's still some charge lots inside. It looks like he tried to drop them out, but Spirit had enough reinforcements. And that is still true. He drags them back up. Another wave. A scan kind of telegraphs the next move. But another scan makes sure Showtime has nothing to hide from it. +2 ground weapons is now done for Showtime, but does he have anything with which to wield them? The rest of the units coming in. Nexus targeted down. GG. Spirit claims Game 1, Volume 2. A decisive victory. He made sure Showtime wasn't able to base trade, and in fact, kept himself in position to execute one himself. And a decisive victory there in game 1.1. Spirit off to an early lead. And we're going into El Dorado. Oh no. Oh wow. I think Showtime trying to play that Colossus Viking style. I mean Colossus Phoenix style. That is kind of figured out at this stage. And it depends on the map, but the map is wide open. It's very difficult to kind of force the Terran into a position where they're pinned down and the Colossi can get guaranteed damage. So the Phoenix is just not carrying their weight. Just too much energy required, even with the recharge ability. And that El Dorado, our most creative map. Keep coming back to that word. In the new pool. You can lock down your bases. Directly inspired by Golden Wall, says it in the description. And has Golden Walls itself here on El Dorado. Mineral walls, gold bases down the center. We've got some doubloons down here. There's a gold base in the very center south of things. If you're bold enough to claim it. Though probably the most contested on the map. Otherwise, you expand to the north. Added some more standard setup. It really depends on how much risk and reward you're willing to put out there. Tough game for Showtime. It felt like he was adapting to the build, but from the very start, losing 6 or so probes to units that just kind of trickle across the map, while hard to avoid, I think this is why most of the time when MaxPax is playing, he does not do the expansion out to the side. He just builds a zealot and denies the engineering bay. Even if his expansion is later, it is not worth the headache and the risk of expanding too far away from your main. The Terrans are too slippery, as we've already established. So, Spirit exploiting that to the greatest extent. That's gotta be, it's so... Showtime always, probably one of the most, of all the players, I think Showtime the most reasonable seeming from his stream. And this is the problem Protoss always has. Either they are potentially clinically different people. I'm talking about Parting, MC, Zest, that just have something in their brains is a little bit off in a good way that allows them to play these insane strategies. Hero is like Jekyll and Hyde with that. Some days he's like a macro Protoss, and some days he's MC reincarnated. MC isn't dead, but like if we cloned him and killed the clone and then did like one of those weird Protoss soul transfers or whatever they do into a robot body, and then we downloaded that robot into Hero. Something like that. You get what I'm saying. I don't. But the idea stands. Hero is like half and half, which is why sometimes he looks like the best Protoss in the world, and sometimes he looks like a diamond player. We've all been there. Showtime, on the other hand, is very consistent, which is not necessarily a good thing for Protoss, especially historically, which rely on the element of surprise more often than a solid, stable macro game. I don't think it's been since Stats and Neeb were mainstays of Protoss that we've seen too many. MaxPax is a solid macro player, but MaxPax always has these big question marks of like, is it just Dark on another computer? Is he a Prince of Denmark? Is he a Golden Retriever? There are no rules that say a Golden Retriever cannot play StarCraft. I'm just asking questions. But none of those questions answered at tournaments like Homestory Cup, like this one. Because MaxPax isn't here to tell us the difference. It's such an awkward position for Protoss, having the best Protoss player be Clem. At least the ones that show up regularly to tournaments. With that first Cyclone, heading across 2 Oracles, the choice. Very interesting builds again. And I completely glazed over. As the Oracle comes in, Spirit, Cyclone, Medevac with another Cyclone, a similar push to Game 1 version 1. 5 SCVs dead, but the third base now under fire already. And I don't really think... No, you can't go down there. 2 Cyclones is too many. Showtime killing 9 SCVs. He's gonna try to defend. Locks onto the Oracle, lifts up to interrupt the lock-on, comes back in for more, knocks out the Phoenix. He's going to take out the Oracle and the Phoenix, but overall, a solid defense with economic damage on the other side. Showtime able to achieve what he didn't the entirety of the last game and a half. He manages to do damage to Spirit without suffering critical losses back at home. Sure, he lost an Oracle and a Phoenix, but knocking out the Medevac, both Cyclones, and keeping his third base intact? That's about as much as you could ever ask for. Liberator looking around. Oracle coming back in for more. There's remarkably little anti-air. Oracle almost out of energy. Gets 3 more kills. 12 kill Oracle. So far, so good. Looks like we got some moopies back there celebrating the death of Terrans, much like most of the YouTube comments. Thumbs up if you agree. Cloak Banshee is an incredibly bold call considering everything so far. It is so far out there, it rolls back into maybe even working. But going Cloak Banshee at 6.5 minutes after your opponent already went Stargate and has 3... That feels like a reach. That feels like a reach around there. That's very confusing. If Showtime did not rebuild any Stargate... Everybody take a... Hey! Did they not pause the game after he said that? Usually there's like an indicator on the replay that... No? Somebody said no? That's odd. I'm just gonna assume it did. It's just not showing up for some reason, but... Of course, we don't wait for anyone here. Don't pause the video. Alright? You should have gotten your Hot Pockets before. And now they're cold. Or they're like lava on the outside and cold on the inside because you didn't actually spread them out correctly. There's a reason microwaves work the way they do. Okay? I don't know what the reason is, but I know the effects. And you should put like a wet paper towel over them. 1, because you don't want them splattering all over the microwave. Ask me how I know. And 2, that way it more evenly distributes it. It re-moistens. Very important. All right. The delicacy that is Hot Pockets, something that Protoss wouldn't know. They don't have mouths. But StarCraft enjoyers of taste, of course. I haven't had Hot Pockets in so long. What is a new WoW classic? Are we rebooting WoW like it's Batman movies now? I think even more often. Wow, I am way off track. But this Liberator's back. And, oh, those probes under attack. As the Banshees take another tack. And observers are not something Showtime lacks. His stalkers are moving back. Yeah, a lot of Charlottes as well. Which, well, that's a fact. Banshee still comes in. And a cannon slap. How is this Banshee getting damage done? How is this Liberator still doing damage? Between the Banshee and the Liberator actually racking up... Oh my god. The Banshee, the random Banshee. There's a stasis ward blocking Spirit's third base, but he still kills 9 probes with the... Wait, we're not done. That shield battery isn't quite close. There's a nut. The Liberator's back! And the... Oh my god. The problems continue to mount. And this, unfortunately, he can't just call down some sort of detection from the Sky God and figure out where that Banshee is. No, he has to bring his observers or oracles or what have you. Spirit did a good job of triggering the stasis and keeping it out of the way of the expansion landing. So despite all this, here's the thing. He went for Cloak Banshee, which is quite a detour from getting Medivacs or Vikings. Even though they did a lot of damage, it feels like the amount of time it took, and the fact that Showtime, he already has 4 bases. The time that Cloak Banshees were going to do critical economic damage, even killing 10 probes, it's past. So now the bulwark is created, 5 siege tanks behind it, but that's a lot of charge lots. Showtime, content to let the Colossi work their way through. There's nothing to contest them right now. No Vikings, siege tanks just barely out of range. The bunker's out in front. He's burning his way through. I'm not sure what happened there. Did he kill one of his own tanks? Bit of panic there. The bunkers are burning. The tanks are not moving up. A Banshee back at home. The Phoenix is moving to intercept it. Well, the Chew Toy bunker is working out, but a Warp Prism is slipping in towards the main. Finally, the Banshee is dealt with. 10.5 minutes in, and finally the Banshees are knocked out. The Cyclone does not lock on to the Warp Prism, and that means the charge lots. Meanwhile, the Colossi actually burn through the bunker. The charge lot's getting more damage done, but with only 1 bunker, he decides to move forward. Colossi helping out from the back line, but they're far from the focus here as the charge lots crush through. Siege tanks trying to target fire Colossi. Sentries with Guardian Shield helping out. Another wave of charge lots is warped in while the Liberator technically does anti-air damage. A wave of force fields will lock out Spirit from defending this angle of the base. 17 SCVs dead. Spirit's army supply is still pretty healthy. Oh, a weird blink there to intercept. He might be able to knock down the Prism. Gets the Colossus, and oh no, Showtime! It's a bit disastrous. Though not in a completely game-ending one, as Showtime still has an economy and he's gutted the main. Though, a bit of a misblink and a misstep there into the corner. Cornering himself against the Terran army. And that leaves Spirit with a small opportunity to do a big and potentially game-changing counterattack. It's been trending towards Showtime, despite Spirit's kind of convoluted and stalwart efforts. And here, well, more damage. The Zealots are finally getting cleaned up in the main. He knocks out one of the bases. There's a Disruptor. A scan spots the... There's still so many charge lots. Wow, he kills another add-on the charge lot eventually. There's a command center here. +3 weapons as well as +1 ground armor for Showtime's army coming together. Vikings on the way. Knocks out a siege tank. A handful of units put off, trying to go for a big drop in the main. There's actually... How many Stalkers? 0. So, not very many then. 3 Vikings, or 3 Phoenixes, sorry, still remain for anti-air. That's the extent of it. A very awkward map to engage on the ground. He actually came through the center, but didn't mine out his mineral wall, which right now Spirit is exploiting. Wow. Meanwhile, pretty much everyone else just heading through. Liberator gonna siege up at a great timing. The supply closet here will form quite a wall against this, but he's tearing it down. The charge lot stream through. A Colossus gets a little bit too close. 9 probes dead to the Liberator. As Showtime tries to break through, he maintains that supply advantage. Finally knocks it out. That's where they get their fresh meat from. The Quadra drop looking to intercept something, but is spotted by the Observer and the Stalkers. May lose a full medevac. Down it goes. Boosts again. He blinks again forward. Spirit setting up his defenses, but he's still at 1-1 versus 3-1. The Colossi roasting from the high ground will burn through the SCVs on the low. And I think now Showtime may be too big to fail. But Spirit going to try one last doom drop. The medevacs are intercepted by the Phoenixes, which were just joining up with the army. Showtime trying to make sure that Spirit can't potentially put this into a base trade or even draw scenario. Probably a bit fresh in his mind at the moment. But there's just not enough Terran to go around. +2 weapons about to complete, but shield upgrades already being added in for Showtime, as, again, the Colossi are content to drain the bank by chewing through the planetary. Planetary with 1 less armor than it had a couple weeks ago. A little easier, but clearly not very easy for the Colossi to get through. Showtime's maxed out with money in the bank. Spirit desperate. And now about to be spirited away. Charge lots. He EMPs the rest of his medevacs to get the charge lots. They wander forward and Spirit is forced to tap out as Showtime evens the score, winning game 2 in the 3rd game of the series. Well. An exhaustive one. For a moment, it looked like Showtime actually went too far. But he's able to pull it back. Spirit's almost flailing strategy of Liberators and Cyclones and Cloak Banshees nearly pays off, despite the early struggles. But eventually Showtime locks it down and knocks him out. And we're going to the decider. Game 3. Exhausting. And somewhat confusing. But, you know, in a good way. Mostly. Like and subscribe for more adjectives. Gladly. It's like an adverb. Is it? What do words even mean? Speaking of ads, I'd like to give a word to our sponsors. You. Thank you for watching. You made it this far. I know that the new patch is a bit convoluted. It's interesting for sure. I don't agree with all the changes. I'm hoping we get a bit more... Oh my god. What is he trying to tell us? A bit more regular... Wait, what is he... Oh, NG bad block he's looking for. Yeah. A bit more regular updates and a bit more transparency or communication. Really, the struggle right now, I think, is less even with the Balance Council and the players and the community, and the fact that Blizzard is... Well, the intern jokes are not nearly as funny as they were a few years ago, because at this point we're not even sure there is an intern. So, I don't even make those jokes anymore, because I'm not... When I say the intern has their quarterly lunch break to update the game, I'm not even confident at this point it's more than once a year. So I hope that we can get more of that. Once again, though, tournaments are played on versions of the game that are approved by all parties. Like, the bugs are fixed, the maps are fixed, the balance is what it's supposed to be. You can have your own opinions on that one, but it isn't any sort of issues that might be in the live server or the ladder, at least at the moment. I think that bears mentioning, especially considering the Cyclone. For those who are watching this when I have 10 million subscribers in 2026, at this time, the Cyclone is bugged on the ladder to do more damage and have a shorter lock-on time, because when they updated it to the old version, they didn't update the right statistics. And it carried over some of the stuff from the new old version. Which is, it's rough. So I do want to point out that those cyclones that Spirit has been using are the intentional version, not the super buff bug becoming a feature version that's on the ladder. All right, I have spoken. 2 adepts. And it's going to be blank this time around for Showtime. Not leaning on the Stargate again. While this, like the Stargate getting an inordinate amount of damage in the previous game. But it's one of those strategies that, unlike Blink, you can't pull it out every game. If you go Stargate every game, by the 2nd or 3rd game, your Oracle's going to run into a Widowmine or a Cyclone and going to be either dead or wish it was by the time it gets there. And then you've wasted so much early gas on tech. Stargate is 150 gas, Oracle's 150 gas. So, if you lose that first Oracle to a Widowmine, you've just lost a full minute of gas mining. Maybe a little more than that even. For nothing. Besides knowing a Widowmine exists, which is not exactly a revelation. Unlike if the Oracle was still alive. Or if the Adept actually gets in and spots not 1, not 2, but 3 barracks, which he was intentionally trying to hide. Otherwise, why build them like this? They were further back from the depots, so when the Adept gets in and sniffs around and tries to figure out what's going on, I think they were far enough back that even if it completed the shade, he wouldn't have vision. But then he just lets it in, which kind of... Unless he's playing some, like, 4D backgammon here. I'm not entirely sure why you would do that. I guess killing the Adept is helpful, but more helpful than hiding the fact you have 2 more barracks? I don't think so. Third base on the way. Blink is completed, so we can poke and prod. And against this sort of mass barracks play, he knows he's safe. It's not going to be the Cyclones. I like the positioning on that bunker. Just high enough up the ramp, you have to commit in order to hit it. So, a nice conservative bunker placement. But against Marines and Marauders, they do eventually become a real existential threat. But early on, they really aren't an answer to the Blink Stalkers. And delaying the starport is huge. If he could actually kill it, obviously, it'd be great as well. But gonna pick off some Marines. We have a scan. There's a 3rd command center, very importantly here. So it's not like Spirit is hurting too much economically. With 3 mules and plenty of SCV production, he can afford to lose a handful of units and still have plenty of momentum. But a Colossus is already on the way. Immediate Robo Bay for Showtime behind this initial blank. Using it for cover in order to make sure he has the right units to deal with the follow-up. And 4 more gates. Charge. Extended thermal lance. +1. The plan is coming together. Spirit as well. He's going to have his double medevac. +1. His combat shield is stim. Showtime. Trying to pick off some more SCVs. Doesn't quite pan out. 3 in total. But that... Wow, the words are a real struggle today, but... We'll try to muddle through, just like these Blink Stalkers against this Bio Army. Adept left behind. Observer is in place to see everything moving out, but he gets intercepted by the double medevac. Oh no! There's nowhere to go. There's nowhere to run. I lied. I apologize. I misspoke. I didn't think of one Stalker slipping into the main via the Observer that I'm surprised he revealed is still there. And then he dies. Unceremoniously. So now Showtime down 20 supply, though has, I'm sure, a warpin or 2 ready. Energy recharge on a sentry. Needs force fields. Gets them. Kind of. Well, the probes have to be pulled. Guardian shield used. Some more charge lots coming down. Widowmine burrowed. That could backfire on the Terran. Does not end up doing so. Hits the Zealots right where it needs to. In the face. And around other Zealots. A bunch of bio ready. Concussive shells finishing. But +1 ground weapons as well as extended thermal lance now completed for Showtime. Observer spotting all this. Over that bulbous red thingy. This map is beautiful. The layout is a bit convoluted, but the actual aesthetics are amazing. I love it. Warp Prism speed. Even before... Does he have a Templar Archives? No. Warp Prism speed is the choice out of Showtime, as well as +2 ground weapons. He's got a 4th Nexus, now complete in the bottom right corner. 4th Command Center's on the way for Spirit, though just started on location. Ha! Huh, you can blink a Stalker there. I didn't know that. Apparently Showtime did. So usually you have to take down those rocks in order to unlock the watchtower, but it appears there's actual ground space, which is very cool, actually. Huh. Ooh. Very dead Marine, but also reveals this base existing. So, here we are. The standoff. Warp Prism heading towards the main. Does have speed done, so should be able to slip by any defenses. There's a spotter depot. He drops out a zealot. There's nothing else. Well, there's no static defense, but there's unstatic defense. 4 Vikings, ghosts. Yeah, that Warp Prism ain't making it home. More than ready to deal with it. Showtime. 2 robos now. Zealot actually finishes off the depot. So, that's something, I guess. And both sides building up. The next confrontation could be game-ending, either direction. It doesn't have to be, but they both have access to the mid-late game armies they're looking for. Colossi, Disruptors, and a legion of charge lots. Up against Vikings, Ghosts, tanks, and plenty of biomass. And here we are. The Disruptor. 2 Disruptors. Fires one off. Wards it away in the most dangerous force field. And the second of the double Ds of destruction, a Shrine to Dark, is in the production tab. But still a long way off in Showtime. Way out of position. As Spirit just shoves down the center. And Showtime very late on moving to intercept this, though the siege tanks can get picked off, but he's just tearing through the natural. There's some charge lots on the other side to defend. He guts the Nexus. He's working on the bio. Force fields will cut off some of the Marauders, but he's in the main base. Oh, trying to intercept the Vikings. The Colossi in an awkward position on their own ramp. Knocks down 1, but the Viking count has been whittled down to almost none. The medevacs are trying to heal up these units that won't stop stimming. More EMPs come through. The Stalkers, do they have a blink? Might be able to pick off one of these medevacs. The Zealot's still going to work. Oh my. Once again, these two brawling. The Zealot's getting a lot of work done on the SCVs. 18 SCVs dead, but Showtime lost his natural. He lost a robo. He lost +3 weapons on his forge. And honestly, that might be the most important part of what was sniped off here. The weapon upgrade's critical for the gateway units and the Colossi, which already struggle to compete with the bio army. The worse the upgrades are in comparison to the Terran, the more you have to rely on hitting the disruptor shots and things like charge lot run-bys, or maybe even Storm. Though Showtime doesn't seem to have any inclination towards going Storm against someone who already has Ghosts. The Dark Templar, another wave, a single DT. There's no turrets and no defenses in the main, though. Showtime might have an opportunity to even warp in more reinforcements. A DT is dropped out. The Speed Prism continues, working its way by, snipes a Zealot. The Vikings! But he's forcing him to chase him all the way back, which gives Showtime some time to consolidate his forces. He cannot be caught out of position like that again. In fact, it could have been much worse. He got a reasonable angle on the siege tanks and whittled down the bio enough. Partially stimmed enough that he couldn't contest the Colossi. But that easily could have been game ending for Showtime if it went a little sideways. The Disruptors in the midst of everything. Both sides maxed out yet again. Showtime back up to 85 probes. Spirit at 74 SCVs, giving him slightly more army supply. The Watchtower spot EMPs the Nexus, so no recall can go off. Another drop attempted, but the medevac gets knocked out of the sky, stutter stepping past the stalkers. The rest of the Bioarmy, unfortunately, the Warp Prism leading the charge. That Nexus is done. That one stalker at the Watchtower trying to help actually kills off a Viking. +1 ship weapons is on the way. He's going to try to contest this. The rocks are in a very awkward spot. Can you beat one Marine that has medevac sealing it? No. Disruptor shot. Comes up empty. This is a bit depressing. Another shot. 0 for 2. Shaq at the free throw line. Meanwhile, oh, not again. He left the disruptors at home to defend, and you can't recall Terran units. It's just a bunch of Ruptors. He's got to fire the broadside. And comes up empty again. He keeps zoning him out. He's trying to buy so much time. I don't think he has quite enough disruptors to do so. How many more shots? EMP lands, fires off another volley. The rest of the army comes back to defend, but the Vikings land on top of the disruptors. The charge lots were out of position. He knocked out the Ruptors. Showtime loses so much. Colossi stuck on a siege tank. Vikings back in the air, knock down the Colossi. And Spirit jams himself into a corner, and there's no splash damage. And the disruptors, the Vikings, just counter the entirety of the robotics facility. Wow. The Vikings just pillaging the entire army, and as soon as the charge lots are warped in to counter it, they pick right back up, and they get out again. And on the next episode of Vikings, I assume we're going to see a spin-off series, because these Vikings have effectively won the game. They sniped off the Colossi, they've knocked out multiple prisms, they hit the deck, kill multiple disruptors, Colossi come back, take them out, back to the ground, take the disruptors, and now Spirit has a 50 supply lead, and Showtime has thoughts and prayers. Disruptor fires off, and, well, a DTs will attempt something. I don't know where the probes are running to. 2 Nexi now can easily be taken down. The charge lots caught up on a siege tank. Heads to the other side. The DTs deny a base, but Spirit still has planetaries with turrets on the outlying sides. I don't think DT blink is enough here. He's gonna try it, it looks like. Tries to get some position, gonna start slicing through. Target fires the DTs to an extent. And actually gonna take out the base. The casual Guardian shield. The game? Well, 3-3 is about to finish for Spirit. Go get tickle him to death. Oh no. There's still way too much on it. He needs the biggest disruptor hits of his career. He got a ghost. Alright, now give me 80 more of those. Another shot. No. Concussive shell slows the Ruptors for some reason. He's building 2 at a time, but they're desperation now. Terran can pick the fights, and he's never going to get himself cornered where the disruptors can actually get the damage done. Not at this stage. Fires off. Comes up completely empty. There's nothing left. That's it. Spirit has done it. He breaks through. In 4 games, takes the series. 2-1. What an experience. A lot of ups, downs, and hiding in the corner, but at the end of the day, Spirit shows more of himself. And the time to show Spirit a counter has passed. So close. An exhausting and emotionally taxing series. I think more than even mechanically there. But we made it to the end. Is it the end you were looking for? Well, quite a dramatic one indeed. Well, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoy. I hope I made your day a little bit better. If you got the means of motivation, it'd be awesome to check out Patreon or YouTube membership. But I hear liking and subscribing is still free, at least for now. Thank you to Take TV for Homestory Comp, and again to you for watching. See you next time. Good luck, have fun. Stay chill.